obviously, as one of the greatest linebackers to ever play our game, talk about Fred Warner as one of the current best linebackers in the league.
Well, I think Fred is good at a lot of things. He's really good at a lot of things. I think his ability to process and go is what makes him really good. He sees stuff, he believes it, he goes, and he knows where he's supposed to be. I think there's a lot of guys that see stuff, they kind of have an idea where to be, but Fred sees it, he goes, and that's how he's able to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. And Steve Wilkes is my guy, and that defense for inside linebackers is fantastic. So Fred is perfect, and you can't talk about Fred without Dre. So they got a tandem of dudes that are really good.
So speaking of Dre, what do you see from his sideline to sideline ability? He's probably one of the more aggressive linebackers in the league right now, especially when it comes, whether coming downhill, sideline to sideline. What pops out and stands out to you about Dre Greenlaw?
He reminds me a lot of Thomas Davis.
Yeah.
Just physical edge, attitude, toughness, but a really smart football player. So him and Fred are like perfect for each other. It seems like there's a ton of space on the field, and then the ball gets snapped, and those guys are just swarming people. So I love good linebacker play, and they fit the mold.
I was talking to Luke Kuechly. You're familiar with the Panthers linebacker. We were talking about Fred Warner, and he goes, man, you can't talk about Fred without talking about Dre. And he compared you.
That's my dog. I love Luke Kuechly, man.
He compared you to Thomas Davis, and a great All-Pro linebacker that he played with. But what's it like? He gave you a ton of praise.
Man, that's crazy.
What's it like? Hearing from a guy who should be a Hall of Famer. We'll see.
Oh, he gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
And just like Luke Kuechly, one of them dudes that, man, just like I'm talking about, probably just one of the all-around best linebackers that you're gonna be able to find in the game. Just how smart he was, how he hit, and how I would say his speed. He was a good runner. Could run 4-5 guy, and just I don't know, man. I used to watch that dude on film, and I just know I can't do some of the stuff that he doing. But I remember it was one play versus the Cowboys, and he faked inside, hey man, did something, did some crazy stuff, caught it underneath or something. And I've been knowing him because my favorite duo is Kuechly and Davis. Those are two guys that when I started watching football, because I was a safety, I watched safeties, Honey Badger, all them. But once I got moved to linebacker, Kuechly, Kuechly, Thomas, Quan, and the Buccaneers, because my coach came from the Buccaneers. So, but those Kuechly and Thomas, and to be particular, oh my God, for him to say that though, that's like.
Do you see any similarities in your game with Thomas? Do you see that?
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. I'm trying to tell you, I watched I think it's the Broncos versus Panthers Super Bowl game. I'm trying to think what year it was. But I watched that probably every other night. That's because I was a big fan of their defense. So yeah, that's cool.
Who were you like as a safety?
My favorite was the guy from LSU, Eric Reed. I used to watch him. He actually played here.
Eric Reed,
yeah. So I watched him a lot more when he was at LSU. Just because I wasn't an LSU fan, but for some reason, they just always got the best DBs and stuff. Kind of just yell a little bit. Kind of got to let out a nice little sniff some salt. Some real hard salt to it, usually does it. That's probably about it.
Stretching it out a little bit further, what is Saturday and then the early parts of Sunday going to look like for you as far as just getting into the right mental headspace for a game this big?
Yeah, just by myself. Just visualizing and just visualizing. I do a lot of visualizing before the game, just in my head, just kind of naturally, just always thinking about football.
Is the visualizing basically taking all that you've watched on tape and done at practice and then just being able to kind of close your eyes and
no, not exactly. It's more like just visualizing, just running as hard as I can into somebody or getting a pick, you know what I'm saying? One of those, I visualizing just smacking somebody.
Did you visualize one of your picks this playoffs?
It's a weird feeling. I didn't visualize it, but it's kind of you just know when you feel good. It's kind of a weird feeling.
Yeah. it feels like you're ready.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It just feels like, let's go.
So are nerves part of being ready? Like, do you want to be a little nervous?
Yeah, you definitely want to be a little nervous. I get a little nervous, I think. So I don't know. I kind of like going to like a dark wall for a minute. So I don't even remember like if I'm really, really nervous. Like I think I'm nervous. I'm nervous a little bit, but I just want to run. That'll get the nerves out.
How were you guys at halftime against the Lions? Do you remember how Kyle was? Do you remember how you guys were?
Yeah, I remember exactly. I just remember sitting down and just kind of not really a lot of people sitting in the middle where we usually are. It's kind of me, Fred, and a couple other people. Everybody sitting around normally. Or that's how they were. They were sitting around and kind of just a good couple minutes went by. And I remember Fred saying something. I remember I said something. Somebody else said something. And then Fred got up in the middle. He said a lot, but he said a little at the same time. It was kind of, but I mean, it was kind of just like a deal to where it's like, okay, like we're down now. Now it's like nothing to lose. Let's go out here. I'm talking about, let's go fight, like wartime. It was fun, actually.
What did you say?
I told you that's part of that dark spot that I was kind of in that I don't really remember. It wasn't nothing crazy though.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like, it was very calming because it was like, well, you know, when teams are making like, you know, or gashing and doing stuff, it's kind of like, you know, that's not really how it's supposed to be, or that's not how it really is. It seems so much worse than it really is. You just tackle the guy, or you know, but it's kind of like, all right, calm down. Let's do this. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. And, you know, you got to come with a great second half game plan to get it right, and there you go.
And can that make you guys more powerful to go through that shit and Green Bay?
And for sure, because you know that no matter what, when it's like, okay, I mean, I don't know if it took the half-point mark or whatever it is, but, you know, when you got that last moment with your brothers and it's like, all right, what we going to do? Okay, well, I'm finna give it all I got. What about you? I'm finna give it all I got. Okay, I'm finna give it all I got. Okay, then you know what time it is, and it's kind of like unsaid, but you know, like, you know, it's because the same guys work every day like that. You know what I mean? So that's what we better see. You know what I'm saying? We better see you working.
I talked to Chris Kasarik yesterday. Said that in big games like this, he's motivated and he wants to win for the guys that he coached on like the 2019 team that are no longer with the team anymore. As a player, in a big game like this, does that motivate you too? Because you talk about the brotherhood that you have with your current teammates, but maybe some of the guys that are on the 19 team that aren't here anymore, are they part of this as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the guys that was here in 2019, I'm pretty sure they want to go. They ready to play to the